Good morning, ladies. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you to the one and only Fidelis Fine Arts Performance. My name is Fitzpatrick, and on behalf of our director, Mrs. Freidel, I would like to thank you for coming and welcome you to our show. Now, before we begin, I have just a few announcements, if I can find them. Good evening, ladies. Is that anyone's water? I just need a moment to compose myself. It's been a long day. It's so stressful up here. You wouldn't believe it. Put down the lights, we're starting over. I said put down the lights.
The management brings you the news events of the world. Freeport, Long Island. The sun rose this morning at 6:32 a.m. This gratifying event was first reported by Miss Dorothy Stetson of Freeport, Long Island. She immediately telephoned the mayor's office. The Society for Affirming the End of the World immediately went into a special session and postponed the event for 24 hours. All honor to Miss Stetson for her public spirit. Tippahatchee, Vermont. The unprecedented cold weather of this summer has not yet been satisfactorily explained. There is a rumor that a wall of ice is moving southward across these counties. However, little credence is given to the rumor that the wall of ice has pushed the Cathedral of Montreal as far as St. Albans, Vermont. For more information, see your daily papers. Excelsior, New Jersey, home of Mr. George Antrobus, inventor of the wheel. The invention of the wheel, following so closely on the invention of the lever, has centered the attention of the country on Mr. Antrobus of this attractive suburban residence. Mr. Antrobus comes from very old stock, and it is once reported that he was a gardener, but left that situation under circumstances which have been variously reported. Mr. Antrobus is also a veteran of several foreign wars, and bears scars both front and back. Here you see Miss Antrobus, charming wife and president of the New Jersey's Mothers Club. Miss Antrobus is also the inventor of the apron, on which so many changes have been rung since. Here you see Mr. and Mrs. Antrobus with their two children, Henry and Gladys, and friend. The friend is Lily Sabina. I know we all wish to congratulate this typical American family on its enterprise. We all wish Mr. Antrobus a successful future. Now the management takes you to the interior of the home for a brief visit.
6 o'clock, and the master's not home yet. I pray nothing serious has happened to him crossing the Hudson River. If anything happened to him, we would certainly be inconsolable and have to move in to a less desirable residence. The fact is, I don't know what will become of us. Here it is, the middle of August, and it's the coldest day of the year. It's simply freezing. The dogs, they're sticking to the sidewalks. And can anybody explain that? No. Every night, the same anxiety as to whether the master will make it home safely, whether he'll bring home anything to eat. In the midst of life, we are in the midst of death, and a truer word was never said. Of course, Mr. Antrobus is a very fine man, an excellent husband and father, a pillar of the church, and has all the best interests of the community at heart. Mrs. Antrobus is as fine a woman as you could hope to see. She lives only for her children. And if it would be any benefit to her children, she would see the rest of us stretched out dead at her feet without turning a hair. If you want to know anything more about Mrs. Antrobus, just go look at a tigress and look hard. As to the children, well, Henry Antrobus is a real clean-cut American boy. He'll graduate from high school one of these days. That is, if they make the alphabet any easier. Henry, when he has a stone in his hand, has perfect aim and can hit anything, from a bird to an older brother to... Oh, didn't mean to say that, but it really was an unfortunate accident. and very hard to get the police out of the house. Mr. and Mrs. Antrobus's daughter is named Gladys, and she'll make one good man a good wife someday. That is, if he'll just come down off the movie screen and ask her. So, here we are. We've managed to survive for some time now. Catch as catch can, the fat and the lean. And if the dinosaurs don't trample us to death, and if the grasshoppers don't eat up our gardens, we'll all live to see better days. Each new child that's born to the Antrobuses seems to them to have been the whole reason the world was set into motion. And each new child that dies seems to them to have been spared a world full of sorrow. And what the end of it will be is still very much an open question. We've rattled along, hot and cold, for some time now, and my advice to you is not to inquire into the why or whither, but you just enjoy your ice cream while it's on your plate. That's my philosophy. Don't forget that just a few years ago, we came through the depression by the skin of our teeth. One more tight squeeze like that, and where will we be? One more tight squeeze like that, where will we be? Oh, 6 o'clock in the Mastodon. Call me up here in the streets. Have a decision. This is a very nice one. One more tight squeeze like that, and where will we be?
Make up something and then something.
Well, this certainly is a fine American home. Everybody's very happy here. And, I can't invent any words for this play. And I'm glad I can't. I hate this play and every word in it. As for me, I don't understand a single word all about the troubles the human race has gone through. Now there's a subject for you. Besides, this stupid author hasn't made up his mind as to whether we're living back in caves or in New Jersey today. And that's the way it is, the whole way through. Why can't we have plays like we used to have? For 2 years, I have been sitting up in my room, living on a sandwich and cup of tea a day, just waiting for better times in the theater. And look at me now! Ugh.
Miss Somerset! Miss Somerset!
Oh, anyway, nothing matters, because it will all be the same in 100 years. We came through the depression by the skin of our teeth. That's true. One more tight squeeze like that, and where will we be?
You let the fire go out. Here it is, the coldest day of the year, right in the middle of August, and you let the fire go out.
Mrs. Antrobus, I'd like to give you my 2 weeks' notice. Mrs. Antrobus, a girl like I can get in a situation in a home where they're rich enough to have a fire in every room, and a home without children, because children are a thing only a parent can stand. And a truer word was never said. So you have my notice, Mrs. Antrobus.
You let the fire go out. Have you milked the mammoth?
I don't understand a word of this play. Yes, I've milked the mammoth.
Well, until Mr. Antrobus comes home, we have no food and we have no fire. You'd better go over to the neighbors and borrow some fire.
Mrs. Antrobus, I can't. I die on the way. It's colder than January. The dogs are sticking to the sidewalks. I die.
Very well, I'll go.
You never make it back alive. If you weren't here, we'd just perish.
I was announcing your own death. But give you a new hat, or a plate of ice cream, or a ticket to the movies, and you'll want to live forever.
You don't care whether we live or die. All you care about is those children. If it would be any benefit to them, you'd see us all stretched out dead at your feet.
Well, maybe I would.
And what do they care about? Themselves. That's all they care about. Little thanks you get from them.
I'm not asking for anything. Oh, there's that dinosaur in the front lawn again. Shoot, go away, go away. You go down to the back of the house where you belong.
Now that you audience are listening to this, I understand it a little bit better. I wish 9 o'clock were here. I don't want to be dragged through this whole play again. Miss Sanchez! There's a strange man coming to the house! He's coming up the walk! Help!
Help me, quick! Who is it? What do you
A
want?
telegram from Miss Antrobus from Mr. Antrobus in the city.
Are you sure? Maybe it's just a trap.
I know his wife, Sabina. We can open the door. I'm sorry we kept you waiting. We have to be careful, you know. Will you be quiet? Have you had your supper? Are you ready to come in? Young man, have you any fire with you? Oh, then light the grate, will you? What are people saying about this cold weather?
Of course, I don't know anything, but they say there's a great wall of ice moving down from the north. That's what they say. There's some that are trying to go south, and the streets are crowded, but you can't bring old people and children very far in a cold like this.
Well, what are people doing about it?
Well, talking mostly, or just what you do on a day in February.
Well, what's this telegram you have for me?
If you wait a moment, got to remember it. This telegram was flashed from Array Hill to University Heights, then by puffs of smoke to Staten Island, then by lantern to Plainsfield, New Jersey. What hath God wrought? To Miss Antrobus in Excelsior, New Jersey. My dear wife will be an hour late. Busy day at the office. Don't worry the children about the cold. Just keep them warm. Burn everything but Shakespeare.
Men, he knows I'd burn 10 Shakespeares just to prevent a child of mine from having one cold in the head. What does it say next?
Have made great discoveries today. Have separated M from N.
I know what that is. That's the alphabet. Mr. Antrobus is just the cleverest man. Why, when the alphabet's finished, we'll be able to tell the future and everything.
Then listen to this. 10 tens make 100, semicolon, consequences far-reaching.
The earth is turning to ice, and all he can do is make up new numbers?
Well, like the head man in our office always says, another discovery like that, and we'll be worth freezing.
Well, what does it say next?
I can't do this part very well.
Happy wedding anniversary to you! Happy wedding anniversary to you! Happy wedding anniversary to you!
Telegram. Are they singing telegrams now?